I came across very interesting use case for one of the customers I currently work with. Our current customer is using both AWS Cloud as well as Azure Cloud. They currently use Azure DevOps as their tool mainly for managing their entire software lifecycle. And they don't want to use any open source tools such as Jenkins or TeamCity for orchestrating their build or orchestrating their deployment. So there is a need for migrating some of the applications and infrastructure into AWS Cloud. And they really wanted to automate that entire process. They don't want to create any resource in AWS Cloud manually. So they wanted to leverage tools such as Terraform. And then they wanted to leverage Azure DevOps for orchestrating the whole build and deployment of the infrastructure part. So if you look at this use case, this is what we are going to learn in this video. So we have Azure DevOps and Terraform here. So we are going to create infrastructure as a code using Terraform, and we would be creating few resources in AWS Cloud such as EC2 instance and S3 bucket using Terraform, and then we are going to automate that process using Azure DevOps. We are going to build Azure DevOps pipeline in order to automate the infrastructure setup in AWS Cloud. And then we would be using Amazon S3 bucket for storing the Terraform state information. We would be using Dynamo DB table for providing log capability for Terraform while performing the operations, right? And then I have already checked in the code into GitHub, and we will be, automating everything using Azure DevOps pipeline. Okay, awesome. So let's get started. If you look at the pre-request, yes, we need to have Azure DevOps organization. So that is over here. This is my Azure DevOps organization. And then we also need to add Azure Pipelines Terraform task. So when you click on here, so you'll be adding this task as part of your ADO. And we would be executing these tasks while performing Terraform operations. And then we need to create AWS service connection for connecting to AWS Cloud from Azure DevOps. And then we also need to create service connection for connecting to GitHub as well, because that is where my source code is. So this is my source code. I will come back to my source code in a minute. And then we need to create S3 bucket for storing the state information remotely. We don't want to store Terraform state file locally. That is not recommended. We have to store Terraform state information in a remote storage place such as S3 bucket, or you can also use Azure Blob storage as well. But this video talks about purely storing in S3 bucket only. Okay. And then of course we need to create Dynamo DB table, which is going to provide the log capability, which is this one. Okay. And then this is my code base. So I made sure that this is a public repository, so you all can start using this. Okay. All right. So let's try to understand the code a little bit better. So if you look at the first Terraform file, which is called backend.tf. So this is the file where, this describes that how Terraform is going to store the state information. So we are using S3 as the backend, and this is the bucket name. So make sure this is unique when you create it. And then this is the key. And then this is the Dynamo DB table. This is the one which is going to provide the log capability, right? So we need to create these two before we start automating it. And then if you look at main.tf, this is our Terraform file for creating security group. This file also will create an EC2 instance. This will also create an elastic IP as well, right? So I'm deriving all the values from a variable file, right? If you see here, everything I'm picking up from the variable file. that variable file is declared over here. So AWS region, security group name, tag name, AMI ID, everything I'm driving from the variable file. And then I'm also creating a new S3 bucket. So I'm using the bucket prefix because it is hard to get the unique name sometimes. So when you add prefix, Terraform creates the S3 bucket with a random string, right? It is going to add some prefix to the bucket name. Okay, so that's what it is. And then we are going to enabling, versioning. Okay, and this is the tag. Perfect. It's a very simple Terraform files. We are going to create EC2 instance, S3 bucket, and elastic IP, and then of course create the security group and then attach that security group to that EC2 instance as well, right? So that's the understanding on Terraform script. If you like to understand how to automate using Jenkins, you can watch my previous video. I have all the steps documented in that video. Perfect. So let's get started now. So we took care of understanding the prerequisite, understanding the code. Now let's get into action. So we need to first create this S3 bucket, right? So that is nothing but this one. So let me just copy the bucket name. Hopefully this is available. So let's go into AWS. Click on S3. Let's create the bucket. So that is the bucket name. And I would like to enable versioning. So let's do that. And then enable server-side encryption. That's fine. And click on create bucket. So I know we are creating this resource or this S3 bucket manually. But again, before you start automating it, you need to have these resources already, right, in AWS. So that's the reason why, we are creating this manually. Okay, awesome. And then we have to go ahead and then create this Dynamo DB table. Let's go ahead and then create this table. And we are going to add lock ID here. That is kind of a primary key. Okay. And then click on create. Perfect. Perfect. And this should be done anytime. Okay, this is done. Great. So let's go back to the instruction. Okay, so now we need to make sure that we create service connection for connecting to AWS cloud from Azure DevOps. So how do you do that? It's very simple. Go to project settings, go to service connections. If you actually see, I already have created. Okay, so I have already created this service connection. If you would like to create new, you just click on new service connection. And then you're going to use this one, AWS for Terraform. Click on that one and click on next. And then you're going to provide your AWS access key and secret key over here. And then you also need to update the region code as well. And then enter some service connection name. And then you want to select this option, right? So when you select this service connection will be available to all the ADO pipelines, Azure DevOps pipeline. Okay, so that's it. So that is how you're going to create a service connection. I don't want to, share my access key and secret key. So that's the reason why I have already created my service connection. And then same thing with your GitHub as well, right? So you need to create service connection for GitHub. I have already created. It's very simple. What you're going to do, click on new service connection, and then you can use GitHub, say next, and then you can, use your personal access token. And then once you put in, and then, you can click on verify, and then you can go ahead and then give some name and then select this option so that all the pipeline would have this access, and then click on verify and save. So that's it, right? So that is how you would create service connection for connecting to GitHub. Perfect. So let's assume that, we did take care of that. Now we have to go ahead and then create a release pipeline. Okay. So you don't have to create a build pipeline, right? Because this is more like setting up your infrastructure in AWS cloud. So you don't have to create a build pipeline. You can directly create the release pipeline. So click on releases and then click on new and then click on new release pipeline. Okay. We can click on empty job. So click on empty job. That is fine. We are not going to use any template here. Okay. You can give some name here. So you can say deploy infra to AWS. That is fine. Okay, so perfect. Now, the way we are going to execute our release pipeline is by checking out the code from GitHub, right? Because Terraform would need all these files, whenever Terraform is going to perform the operations, right? Such as init, validate, plan and apply, and destroy as well, right? Okay, so we need to, add the artifact over here. So let's click on add and then click on GitHub. Since we have already added a service connection, so that service connection should come from the drop down. And then you're going to choose the repository. And so that is my repository. I'm going to type my username and then my repo name, which is my infra, this one, 2021 repo. Perfect. And then I'm going to use this branch, which is the only branch I have. And then go ahead and then select latest from the default branch. Perfect. That's all. Click on add. That's it, right? So we have added the artifact here. And let's quickly rename our pipeline name. So click on the pencil here. And then I'm going to say my awesome infra pipeline job. Okay. You can give any name, but I would like to give that name. Okay. Perfect. All right. Now let's go ahead and then add tasks over here. So let's click on this one. Okay. And if you see here, we can use any one of the agents here. That is totally fine. This is fine. I'm going to go ahead with this option. I'm not going to modify it. And then let's click on plus. We are going to add task. So remember, we have already added the extensions, right? Which is nothing but this extension, Azure Pipeline Terraform Task. So once you add, when you go ahead and then type Terraform here, you should see these different options, right? Let's go ahead and then select this one. If you see here, we need to customize this one, right? So what is our Terraform provider? Our Terraform provider is what? AWS, isn't it? Okay, and then I would like to perform init command. And then you're going to go ahead and then select the configuration directory, which is this one. Okay, select this one, that's fine. Okay, and then we need to perform init. Sorry, init is already there. I'm going to go ahead and then type reconfigure. Okay, and then in this drop down, you're going to select the service connection which we had created earlier, AWS service connection. And then if you see the bucket name, so remember we have already created a bucket name with this name. So let's go ahead and then give this name. This is really important. If we have it incorrect, it is not going to work for sure. And then the key name. The key name can be anything, but I'm going to use the key name which I have described over here. And let's copy it and then paste it here. Perfect. Right? And then let's go ahead and then add another task. So if you see here, we need to install Terraform actually, which I forgot. That should be the very first task. So let's add it, and then we are going to move it up. Because this should be the first task, because the way this is going to work, whenever you run this pipeline, it is going to spin up a VM, and then it's going to install Terraform on it, and then it would perform the operation. So this should be the first task. So this is fine. So this is going to go ahead and then install latest Terraform version. This is fine. Okay, and then this is also we have added. Now, so this is init operation, right? And the next command what we have to do is what? A plan command. So all we have to do is right click and then clone this task. And this would create the task, right? So I'm going to go ahead and then say, let's say Terraform plan. And then let's also modify this one as well. I'm going to say Terraform init. Okay. And then I'm going to select plan. So this is the working directory. We already have it. So we have to provide that. It is already there since we copied. We are already good. So we don't have to change it. And then the additional command. So I want to perform plan. So what I wanted to do, I want to create a file, right? I want to write into this file. Okay. So just mention that. So I want Terraform to write whatever the plan information into this file. So just do it like that. Let's select our AWS service connection again. So that's it, right? So this should take care of the plan. So let's quickly validate our instructions here before we go too far. So we took care of that. We also added. Okay, perfect. So right now this is the init command. We also took care of that. Perfect. And then this is the plan. So which we just did. Perfect. So before I go ahead and then perform apply command, let's do one thing. Let's go and run this pipeline. Let's make sure everything is looking good before we perform Terraform apply here. Okay. So let me save this and then click on create release and then say create, and it has been created. So click on that one and click on logs. This is going to take a few seconds to go ahead and then provision. Okay. So as you can see here, it was able to provision one agent machine. Now it is in the process of installing Terraform. Okay, it is performing Terraform init command. Perfect. And then it is performing Terraform plan command right now. Awesome. Here we go. You see here, it is going to create 4 resources, isn't it? And we can also see those resources. Let's wait until this completes. Okay, so click on Terraform plan. There we go. So we can clearly see here what are the different resources it is going to create. So let's see here. Yeah, it's going to create an Elastic IP. It's going to create an EC2 instance. It's going to create an S3 bucket. And then of course the security group, which will be attached to the EC2 instance. That's the reason why we are seeing 4 resources to add. Perfect. I think everything is looking good. And then all we have to do is just perform apply, isn't it? We just have to add apply task over there. So let me edit the pipeline here. Click on edit pipeline. Let's click on the task. And then I'm going to clone this again. Okay. Of course, you can also add, but let's make it really easier. Click on clone task. And then let's modify this one. This is going to be Terraform apply. Perfect. And then this one should be validate and apply. Okay. Everything is fine. And then instead of out, we have to pass the Terraform, the Terraform plan file, which is dev-plan. That's all. Right. I think that's pretty much it over there. Perfect. So let's click on save. Now we can go ahead and then create the release. I think this should do it. Perfect. Let's click on create release. create, and click on this one. So right now it is in the process of performing Terraform plan. Perfect. All right, now it is in the process of executing Terraform apply. Awesome. See here, so it has successfully created these 4 resources. Perfect. So now let's log into AWS console. Let's go to services, click on EC2. So we should see one EC2 instance here. There you go. We are seeing this EC2 instance. And then if I go to S3 bucket, we should see one more S3 bucket. Here we go. So this is S3 bucket, right? And then we also should be able to see the Elastic IP as well. So click on Elastic IP. There we go. So I don't know which one it created recently, but we are able to see the Elastic IP, right? So yeah, so that is how, guys, that is how you can automate the infrastructure setup. So now let's take another simple use case. Let's say that we were successfully able to create. So let's say we want to destroy all the resources what we have created using Terraform. How to do that? Again, we can create another release pipeline, isn't it? So let's take the same pipeline. So this is the pipeline what we had created. So click on the 3 dots here, click on clone. All you have to do is just rename it. Edit the pipeline name and then change this into, let's say, instead of this thing, I'm going to say you can give any name, doesn't matter. I'm going to give my awesome destroy pipeline job. Click on save and then click on the task here. All we have to do is change the apply into destroy, isn't it? So go ahead and then say destroy and then don't provide anything. That's all. That's all we have to do. So let's click on save. Okay. Let's click on create release. Create. Click on this one. Let's see what Terraform does. Click on the logs. Okay. So as you can see here, it is in the process of performing Terraform destroy. There you go. Wow. See here, Terraform destroy is complete. So if I go into AWS console, the one of the Elastic IP was gone. So if I go to EC2 dashboard, you see here, there is nothing is running, isn't it? This EC2 instance got terminated, and the same thing. If I go to S3, and we should see that S3 bucket earlier which was created is no longer there. So yeah, so that's it, guys. That's how, guys, that's how you can use Azure DevOps pipeline for automating infrastructure setup with the combination of Terraform. Thank you for watching this video.